Football fans, Gooners, welcome to the Friday edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. And it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Blackburn George. How are you, my friend?
All right. Good morning.
Righty, well, good to see you, George. I don't take it for granted. George, so this is today's edition is a preview of our game on Sunday against West Ham. We will be playing at the London Stadium away. And we are on a spurt, a streak of 2 wins, George. Surprisingly, over Chelsea and Manchester United. And West Ham, well, apparently they have gone 5 games unbeaten, but it is 3 wins and 2 draws. And they just lost to Eintracht Frankfurt. They're losing defenders like leaves falling from a tree in autumn. They're dropping like flies. And we are going to this game expected to win, George. Are you as confident and as optimistic as all the pundits and some of our fans are? Tell me, George.
Well, I didn't watch them last night. I was watching snooker, so I missed it.
You're that exciting fellow you are.
Right. And so have they lost some more defenders last night?
They didn't lose anymore. But
Yeah.
Dawson, I don't think is going to play against us. He could play the European League. I think when I last saw them.
Well, I think they generally lose after they've played in the Europa League. I think that's the normal form. And
Well, after they beat Leon and went and played Chelsea the other day, they lost 1-0.
Yeah, so
I
they
did
played
say
yesterday. They played yesterday. They've got a small squad. They've got injuries. They're not pulling up trees like they were, or they're not playing as well as they were playing early in the season. I think we should beat them. I'm quite confident, yeah.
So we should end the stream now, George. But George, I still think they remain a threat because they are playing to remain in Europe. They are right now, George. They are 17-34 games, and we have only gone 33. But they, it's a London derby. We can't be that dismissive. I mean, we've been around a while, and that's one of the reasons for us doing this podcast.
No, I say it every week. We can play bad enough that anybody can beat us, let alone West Ham at their own ground. I just think we'll have enough to win on Sunday afternoon.
That's a conventional thinking, and I would go ahead with it in a way. But George, the last time we played them, Martinelli scored. Then one of their fellows got sent off for a second foul. I think it was. And then Lacazette scored from a penalty, and it made it 2-0. And I think it flattered us a bit because that was when they were, a little bit stronger in terms of personnel. But we have made changes along the way. I don't expect Lacazette to start. I expect Nketiah to lead the line. In fact, I expect us to play pretty much the same team we played against Manchester United. Is that your expectation?
Yes. Maybe Martinelli will start instead of Smith Rowe. I don't know. But it'll be very similar, yeah. Tomasako might be back.
Do you think he'll start? Remember he came on in the 90th minute against United.
Yeah, he got 5 minutes, didn't he?
Yes.
I don't know. Depends whether he thinks Cedric's needing a rest or on a dip of form or isn't good enough. Will they risk bringing him back and starting him? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But he could come back anyway.
George, I that's a good point. The defending, George, let's go back to the game. Last game, we spoke about it and I highlighted a bit. It was a midfield that but provided the platform. But it was the two fullbacks were not very good that day. In fact, in everybody's rating and even in Biso's rating, they got like scores of 4. But does Cedric deserve to be kicked to the curb and Tomiyasu brought back?
I could, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have said no. But he does seem to be labouring recently.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it depends whether we're going to take the game to them or we're going to let them come to us.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to just be defending, then he's probably a better bet. If we're going to set about them, then I'd stick with Cedric. But I imagine we'll go there on the attack. So maybe Cedric is favourite, given the lack of playing time and the fact that he's done all right. And if we're going to have a go at them, he's a more attacking fullback than the Emperor.
Well, to be honest, George, first of all, none of us are insiders. I am away from London. I'm talking about 1,500 miles. You're away from London. We are fans. And we think that we have seen enough football to comment. That's why we do this. But in my opinion, it would be sort of premature to bring back Tomiyasu to start a game. Remember now we are playing away, and you said that we might attack. That's not Arteta, George. Am I wrong or right? I mean, there's no right answer here, obviously, but is he going to go on the front foot at West Ham?
We never go completely on the front foot, do we? But we do tend to make quick starts.
Yes.
And try and dominate teams early on. So, yeah, I don't know.
Neither of us know. Go ahead.
It's hard, really, to work out his thinking, but I expect us to be fairly aggressive. I mean, you don't go all out attack when you're playing away from home. And our away record's much better this season than it has been for a long time.
It has been. That's true.
So we'll just have to wait and see. I hope we have a go because I feel that attack is definitely the best form of defense for this team.
You know, George, and I want to bring this in. My good friend Shard Gooner has written in his previews, and he's always going to have a preview, talk about Arteta needs to let chaos reign. Reminds me of an old English saying, let cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war. But and I saw a writer for a very big Arsenal blog use the same concept. Is Arteta going to be as restrained, or will he let the players play? I think that's that's the point that Shard Guna has been saying, and others are beginning to echo that point. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it'll be a change, won't it, if he lets them play?
Yes,
that will be novel. So, no, I don't think he's going to let anybody off the leash, particularly not at this stage of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be much the same, really. And we just have to hope that the fact that Elneny and Xhaka have been so good that they can dominate the West Ham midfield, which is no easy task, but I'm not entirely convinced. I'm not sure they'll all play. You know, they might rest a few. They might even rest Declan Rice. So,
well, he rested 7 players, I understand, on Thursday. That is Moyes. He played and I don't have the team up here. I can bring it up in a minute and I'll tell you who he played. But I expect some rotation because they are tired, George. I saw a figure. They have played 51 games so far. And they're in 2 competitions. And you made a point earlier that will come to bite them in the tush, and it is biting them in the tush. They didn't sign anybody in January. We only are only in one competition and we let go a bunch of players. So, it's when it comes to the freshness factor, Arsenal certainly has the edge. I mean, there should be no controversy about that, obviously.
No, there isn't. And, that's certainly not an excuse. We're much better rested than them. I mean, we've been in one competition for what? 4 months, 5 months?
Yes. Since January. Our chances went up in smoke in January, yeah.
So that was the last time we were in more than one competition. So, yeah, I think we have benefited from it, and I think we'll continue to benefit from it on Sunday. I think we'll be, if we don't get at them early on, I think we'll outlast them. I see us coming on stronger and towards the end of the game. Like I say, I think I'm fairly confident. But then again, I was fairly confident against Crystal Palace.
Yes, you were.
And then Brighton.
But you were really confident about Manchester United when I was not. I was in my conservative mood. You said, "Oh, Shotta, stop worrying." Decided to put it politely. So, no, George, you and I don't pretend to have the answers, and I hope I'm speaking for you, and it's a matter of perspective, and that is why I encourage people to, to listen to our podcast. It's a matter of perspective. It's neither getting too up nor down. We are support the team, but we're not giving a narrative, a PR narrative here, by the way. And that's a lot of that is happening in the club these days. People have narratives, but one narrative that won't go away, George, and that is the midfield, and that Mr. Thomas Partey should come back as soon as possible and probably evict on Elneny, and that we can upgrade on Xhaka. But as you said, the two are going to play, and they're going to play to the rest of the season, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think Partey will be back, and I don't think he'll be missed. So I don't see what the problem is. I just don't get it. I don't get this Partey thing at all. What are people saying that I'm missing?
Well, George, it is. I will tell you what I think. you and I refuse to see, and that is the big old dominant physical defensive midfielder who is destructive and who will occasionally.
He's not. Is he? He's not even that. He is big. That's about the end of it, really. I don't see it. I just do not see it. I mean, I'm not saying he's shockingly bad, but he's not outstandingly good either. And that's what we're being told. I mean, people saying he's our most important player. I'm telling you, if he's our most important player, we're in relegation problems. There's no way is he even one of our better players. But people have it. Well, you just.
George, while you were speaking, I know you're might be interrupting you, but it just reminds me. I was seeing Coquelin playing for Villarreal on Wednesday, right? It reminds me of the great debates and the great and the good saying he's not a good player. And somebody just reminded me that the way the team was set up, I mean, he was left to fend on his own, George, right? Ramsey going from box to box, and even when he played next to Santi Cazorla, he was supposed to be patrolling. And the good and the great said he was not. He should be shipped out. When I read Arsene Wenger's book and I'm going to spend it, he mentioned him by name as one of his better players. So I put it back down. I don't rate. I have a problem with most of these opinions. I just think that they feel that brute force in this deep defensive midfielder is what counts, and not their technical ability. And this is my concern with Mr. Thomas Partey.
Yeah, I mean, you see, I was waxing lyrical about how well Elneny had done, and people were coming on Twitter saying, but Partey offers more. What do they mean by that? Offers more to what? He doesn't offer more to the team. Elneny does the job he's being asked to do better than Partey does the job he's being asked to do. Whether Elneny can dribble better than Partey or zing a 70-foot pass, but even this is, for me, is a fantasy. I don't see Partey dribbling. I don't see Partey shrugging up, holding people off the ball. I don't see him pinging 60, 70-yard passes. Occasionally, you see him do a pirouette in the middle of the field and then run away with the ball. That's about it. He's a one-trick pony. You know, they come up, he has the ball, they face him up, he turns his back on them, and then swings around and runs off it. Sometimes, 1 out of 10 times he tries it, it works. And, you know, I just don't see it. I'd love to see it, but I just don't.
Well, football fans, Gooners, welcome to that other point of view which has dogged this fan base for years. Again, like I put it in the context of, for years, we've been saying that we need a Thomas Partey. And we get a Thomas Partey, and George is not impressed. And we don't want to say we're not impressed, but we don't.
I'm not impressed. We paid 50 million pounds for him.
Yeah.
I fucking well should be impressed. If a £50 million player can't impress you, there's something wrong. He doesn't impress me. He's had what, 2-3 good games in 2 years?
Yes.
He played well away at Manchester United. He played well against Leicester City.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the third game, George.
No, can't remember the third game. That's about it. And I would say the Manchester United game was outstanding because he played with Elneny in that game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have Xhaka to help him.
Yes.
Because Xhaka carries him through game after game after game. He covers his arse for his mistakes. And I'm just not impressed. Like I say, you don't want to say it. I'll say it. I'm not impressed. I don't dislike the guy.
Yes.
You know, I don't think he's a bad player, but it's just that when people tell you he's world class or he's one of our better players, I've got to say, well, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like I said, guys, you might want to put that in your comments, but this is where George and I tend to differ from most of the conventional bloggers and podcasts. That central midfield area, and of course, the demonization, the continued demonization of Xhaka. I'm glad to see some people. Yeah,
he's made a bit of a comeback, hasn't he?
Yes.
To the fans, because he blew kisses at them instead of telling them to fuck off. I preferred it when he told them to fuck off myself.
Yes.
At least that was honest. You know, he played in that interview that he did.
Yes.
He said, we can, as regards to fans, we won't be friends. We can't be friends. Because of what you've done, we can't be friends. And so, granted, here's a bit of advice from an old fart.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and make friends with these dickheads. Tell them to fuck off.
Well, the other thing about the Arsenal fan base is that, and every fan base, by the way, George, but, you know, you and I have been together for 15, 16 years. I keep saying 15 years all the time. Like as if the time don't go. But we have to have a scapegoat. And once you find that scapegoat, you have to ride that horse to the end. Because now we have a podcast where people are, you know, have to have an angle and agenda. That's how you gain the followers. And guys, we are just the same. Only thing we are saying that this is we're not doing it without any principles. We have stuck to our principles. We want followers, by the way. Okay.
What makes me laugh though about Xhaka is even those absolute idiots who think he's crap or thought he was crap, who now want to admit that he's good, they'll do it by telling you Arteta's improved him.
Yes.
Like, well, he plays exactly the same as he's always fucking played. He's not fucking better now than he was 4 years ago. He's not Shotta. He's exactly the same. The only thing that changes is how well the rest of the team function around him. He's a constant. He's equilibrium. He's balanced. You can more or less say every week he's going to give you a 7 or an 8 out of 10 performance, with the occasional brain fart thrown in, which makes his 7 or 8 performance, even in that game, up to the point where he's red carded, look like a 2 or a 3.
And by the way, George, he said he's not going to stop the way he plays. If he sees a 50-50 ball, he's going to go for it. That's how he's played. And, he has gotten carded. He knows he will get carded because sometimes he misses that tackle.
To be fair to his critics, they do have a point. I mean, some of his bookings are just ridiculous. I mean, he got booked the other day for kicking the ball up in the air after a foul was given. Well, that's just madness. Now he doesn't get booked again. He's never got 2 yellow cards.
Exactly.
Never in 5 years being with it, he has never picked up 2 yellows in the same game. But it doesn't stop people thinking that now he's in danger of being sent off because he's been yellow carded. And
he's a smart player, George. I mean, he's not. He's the man who directs play on the field, so he sees the game very quickly, and you can see the players respect him. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be in the stadium on the front row to see what's going on. It makes me
laugh, really. It doesn't matter who got the armband. It's not him because he won't even fucking pass it on to somebody else.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter who else has got the armband. He's the one giving the directions and telling everybody how to play.
Yes.
He's the captain.
Sorry.
He is the captain. Well, in all but name, he's the captain of the team.
Yeah, so the social media, Arsenal Twitter, Arsenal blogs, Arsenal, whatever. Arsenal podcast, you're gonna have a problem because Arteta, who the club has no intention of getting rid of, and who some of you are celebrating, plays him every game that he's fit, rushes him back from injury. So go figure that one out. That is the great competition they cannot. Yeah.
And also, he'll play him in any problem position he's got. He'll move into that position.
And I don't know how they rationalize that to themselves.
I don't know.
Entirely counterfactual.
He begged him to stay. Granit Xhaka said he had his bag packed. He was leaving. Contract agreed.
Yes.
Arteta begged him to stay and give Arsenal one more chance, please. Like, we've fucked up. We're making a mistake here. Not like we'll give you a chance to stay, Granit.
Exactly.
It was the opposite. Give us a chance to prove to you that we're good enough. That was what Arteta was saying to him. Give us a chance to show you the respect and let you play football the way that I have planned for you to play football. And so how do you reconcile this with Arteta? Arteta's a genius, but he's got it wrong about Granit Xhaka. Well, make your mind up, boys. You can't have it both ways.
Well, we're going to continue to go against the grain. And a lot more people, once you score a goal, George, and by the way, don't get carried away, audience. Once you score a goal for Arsenal, a goal against Manchester United propelled Granit Xhaka for at least a week reprieve from the Boo Boys. George, the other area of controversy, you hinted at it going into this game. These are not real controversies, guys. We're just kind of spitballing here. But ESR didn't have a good game against Manchester United, and you said that he might pick Martinelli, not Elneny, over him. Maybe you want to go into this a little bit more. maybe
Yeah,
what?
I think ESR did have a poor game, but the 3 games that we lost, Martinelli started, didn't he?
I think so. He did. If he
And
didn't
the
start
2 games that we've won, Emile Smith-Rowe started.
Mm-hmm.
So, have our eyes deceived us? Does he offer more than visibly we're seeing?
I just think
Do we play better with him than we do with Martinelli, despite the fact that Martinelli appears to look to be doing more on the pitch? Because that can happen,
Mm-hmm.
Just because one player looks to be doing more doesn't mean they're actually giving more to the team.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Sanchez and Ozil.
Yes.
Watch them. You watch Sanchez running around after the ball all the time, always in the camera shot, and you would assume that he was offering more to the team than Ozil, where it was exactly the reverse. Ozil was offering far more than Sanchez, but the perception was Sanchez, not only was he offering more, but he was working harder. He used to run about 2,000 kilometers less
for the season.
and people said he was working harder. It was fucking madness because perceptions are different, and you do just so. Maybe Emile Smith-Rowe is offering more to the team than it appears when you watch him and Martinelli play. I mean, I would pick Martinelli, but we lost 3 games with him playing and 1-2 with Smith-Rowe playing.
Well, Smith-Rowe seems to be a little better coming off the bench, George. I mean, and that goal he scored against Chelsea, just one time straight into the back of the net. Do I have it right? I mean, this is something that he does. He has learned. He's mastering. Well, I won't say he's a complete player, far from it. But he does seem to be very effective coming off the bench. I know that when he had the COVID and he started coming off the bench, that was enforced. But I think that's something Arteta might be considering. I mean, it's a mini controversy. It's really not much of an issue, in my opinion. Don't you think?
Yeah, he seems to be able to score when the ball bobbles round about the penalty spot and he can run onto it and slot it in rather than score as part of a build-up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Not so sure I agree, George. This is the Saka Odegaard ESR. You notice it's a Saka Odegaard ESR. I mean, I don't think it's just babbling. I think they're working. You can see they're working on this in training. That combination.
Well, no, that particular goal was a good goal, but some of the goals he scored have been right place, right time, rather than
right
manufactured goals at the end of that particular goal was fantastic. I mean, from start to finish, that was one of the goals of the season for any team.
Right.
So yeah, that was a great goal, and he didn't lash it in. He placed it in the bottom corner, a controlled shot. That was a great finish. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a swing and hope merchant. I'm just saying that he tends to profit from, in general, most of the goals he scores are opportunistic rather than part of a plan.
Well, George, I had some figures here. And by the way, goal creation, West Ham surprisingly has more goal creation than us. And the point why I made this point is that we are not a great we're not a goal creating machine. So what the point you're making is that ESR being opportunistic is important for this team because we're not, at least so far, we're not a goal creation machine. To repeat what I said before, may seem strange, but that's a fact.
No, we don't create many chances, and the idea, and it makes me laugh that when you mentioned the fact that we hardly make any chances. These
1.2, I think, George. 1.2 per game. I could have bring up the stat, but I saw it, and they are like West Ham is 1.5. Go ahead, my friend.
You think they justify this with, when they're trying to tell you how Arteta's a genius, that you say we hardly make any chances. Well, yeah, but it's the quality of the chances. What a load of shite. As if somehow we're manufacturing better quality fucking chances than What can you do though?
One last point, George. I saw Scott Willis, the crab, the one who does is an expert on XGs and so on. I'll give him credit. I look forward to what he says. He has some credibility. So Scott Willis, yeah, you don't follow me, but I follow him. But he did that graph, that performance graph he does. There's a term for it. I used to when I was a student. Anyway, guys, don't forget it. I can't remember, but it's a performance graph, and on Ben White, and he came to the conclusion that Ben White needs to improve, and I wrote back and said, so for 53 million pounds, we have an average defender. Ben White is a great enigma between him and Gabriel, but a central defense. And I thought maybe we should just have a little share some thoughts on that today before we wrap up. Your thoughts on Mr. Ben White?
Well, as I said right at the beginning of the season, I thought that he was bought to play in the middle of a three.
Yes.
I never envisaged that he'd be part of a two. Yes. I don't think he's up to being part of a two. He's not a great defender. He's good. He's good on the ball and
right.
But he's not.
Can't step up in midfield.
He's not a great defender, but neither is Gabriel.
That goal against Crystal Palace, that travesty. he left the boy hanging out, Tavares hanging out to dry. I still can't remember it. And then he mistimed his jump for the second goal by Crystal Palace. So, guys, we don't have the finished article in our central defense. That's a fact. I don't, and I think that is one of the issues that we're going into. But I don't think that will be. I mean, this team is not perfect, but I don't think that's one of the flaws that will be fatal against West Ham. And George, your predictions, therefore. Finally.
2-0.
I'm going to leave you to... That's the official, let's put it, that's the official positively uncensored forecast. A 2-0 win. I won't dispute it. But... Of course, I always leave a proviso. Don't be surprised if it's the results turn out.
Don't be surprised if you lose 5-0.
There you go. Well, George, thank you. And thanks to the fans who listen to us. You've been in your numbers. Our numbers have improved. I keep alluding to you. It's last time around. Like, share, and subscribe. And until we come back again, post the West Ham game. Bye-bye.
Bye now.